Good evening, everybody. The first point that we have to do, actually, is to elect a chair for this meeting. In the absence of Councillor Dorrington, who's a normal chair, so we need to elect a chair. Hopefully this process will be a bit easier than the Republican Party. Thank you, Anne. Great. So that is carried unanimous. Yeah. There are only 4 councillors here tonight, but we are quorum, so we will continue with the meeting. Thank you. Right, good. Let's get that out of the way. Thank you all for joining. This is the meeting of the Oversight Committee. My name's Steve Tanner. I'll be chairing this evening. Just to remind everyone, we have people online and here in the room. For those in the room, the usual housekeeping, emergency exit is to the rear of the room, and the assembly point is at the far side of the rear car park. Toilets at the end of the corridor on the right, and there is an accessible toilet to the right of the lift. Help yourself to tea, coffee, water, it's over there. Tonight, Peter's going to clerk. Sarah's going to manage the IT, participant settings, and the Q&A board. The meeting is being recorded, and we are live streaming to our YouTube channel. Councillors, any attending via Zoom, please use your yellow hand. For everyone else, please raise your hand or put through the Q&A board. Item 1 on the agenda is apologies for absence and declaration. Peter or Sarah, do we have any apologies?
We have 3. That's Mel Usher, Mark Dorrington and Nick Dove. Great,
thank you. Oh, and Polly Lamb. Yeah, okay. So if someone could propose that for me. Thank you, Fiona. Thank you, Andy. That's unanimous. Second point, if there are any declarations of interest.
It's not for decisions, I'm presuming it's fine, but I'm currently interim chair of Ward Local Development Association. The Ward Local Development is mentioned in the open spaces.
I'm on committee, that's fine.
We don't need a vote on that. No.
Okay, great. Right.
Steve, as the courtesy to our guests, should we just do a quick whiz round and say who we are?
You can do. Yep, I won't take long.
What we do, yes.
So if I...
Yeah. Start wherever you want.
I've got a mic on, so I'll go. I'm Andy Jones. I'm one of the ward councillors for College Ward.
Community retrofit lead.
Hello, I'm Katie Fraser and I work in the resilience team here at the Town Council.
I'm Anne Hills, I'm ward councillor for Berkeley Down.
Hi, I'm Rob Holden and I'm the environment manager here at Froome Town Council.
Sarah Williams, I look after finance, HR and IT.
And I'm Peter Wheelhouse, I'm the deputy town clerk.
Great.
I think what you might all want to know. I think what you might all want to know is that we.
Yeah, we'll just come to that in a minute. We just need to go through a couple of formalities, then we'll come through questions from the public.
The public don't really know who you are and what you do. It's just not clear to us.
Right. Okay, we'll come to that in a minute. I'll just go through the formalities here. So just need to approve the minutes of the last meeting on 26th of July. Thank you. And
If you do abstain, we won't be quorum.
right.
But I wasn't there, but they will sound fine.
There are a couple of updates.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
We won't be quorum in terms of the vote, because it'll only be 3 rather than 4 were voted for. So yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Great.
This would just do delegation authority.
Okay. I think we're okay.
Okay.
We're okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. There were a couple of updates from the minutes, which I think Mel Usher asked about the Elliott building, which I think Sarah's got an update on the Elliott building. Is that correct, Sarah?
Yes, we're in negotiations with Fairfroome for them to keep the Elliott building. The new lease would start in January and it's just with legals at the moment.
Great, thank you. And
Just looking at the minutes, so it seems that Mel Usher asked that there could be a discussion about the future use of the Elliott building before any decision is made.
Yep, I went back to him with the proposals for continuing with Fairfroom and having an expansion of the community use and a slight increase in rent, and he seemed happy with that and didn't think it needed to come back to council. But do you think it does, Fiona?
No, not particularly. I just was picking up, that was the bit I was reading.
No, that's great. I had picked that up and asked him directly, so thanks.
And I think Mel also asked about Loop de Loop, which I think Peter's got an update on.
Yes. So the terms of the lease and licenses have been agreed with Somerset, and we're waiting on a revised copy through to sign. We have paid for lighting and electrical rewiring, £3,000. We have paid for deep clean, £800. Rangers have fixed the guttering. Licenses will be signed with Lungi Babas and Adventure for the community fridge by the end of November. Painting will be done by volunteers organised by Lungi Babas and Adventure, and we have some money in the current budget to put towards this. And under the terms of the lease, we have no obligation to return it in a better state than it is being handed to us by Somerset Council. So that's your update. Hopefully that provides enough information in terms of where we are on Loop de Loop.
Great, thank you very much. Item number 3 on the agenda, questions, comments from the public and councillors. Good evening.
I'm not sure what I should say, and I don't want to take up a lot of your time, but I have had a very bad experience of Mendip Council and now Somerset Council.
Right.
I've got a property in Catherine Hill and I rented it out in 2020 for 6 months. There was condensation. The property's got roof lights and the tenant had the wood burner on full blast. I mean, you can't alter the heat. So there were drips. Now, one of the Velexes was leaking. The rest of it was drips. It was condensation. But she just didn't seem to understand this. She went to Citizens Advice, and Citizens Advice told her to take the issue up with Mendip Council Environmental Health. And I think perhaps the nugget of what I want to say is perhaps ask for a re-examination of procedures that the council might use in different departments, because the case officer, Miss Rose, issued an improvement notice on me without any discussion with me, without whether I could do it, whether I wanted to do it. Of course I want to keep my own home in good repair, but she also issued arbitrary dates that I had a tenant with a toddler. I couldn't suddenly enlarge a window to make it a fire escape window with a tenant there, with a contract in operation. I just couldn't understand why she didn't understand that. She got very frustrated with me. She clearly didn't like me and was very pro-tenant, and the tenant played up to that. And it all got very messy and very unpleasant. And it hasn't still been resolved 2 years on. Miss Rose then issued a prohibition notice on my property, again, without checking any facts with me. 2 of the fundamental issues in the prohibition notice are incorrect. One of them was provision of hot water for personal sanitation. The tenant claimed she'd run out of hot water. I live there. I chose the boiler on advice from Plumtech. She may well have, on one occasion, had a bath, given her toddler a bath, perhaps had a bath for a visitor. I don't know. But I suspect it was a one-off anecdote. Really, the boiler provides 120 litres of hot water per day, and that's more than enough for most people. But it's now down in the prohibition notice, and that prohibition notice has meant I can't live in my own home, that I've not been able to have a rental income. I've lost £20,000 over this prohibition notice, and nobody will listen to me. I asked Mr. Manners, the head of the Environmental Health Department, for a new caseworker. I said, look, let's do this without malice or rancor. This relationship isn't working. Can you please provide me with somebody new? He just refused. He wouldn't discuss it. He wouldn't give a reason. So as I say, I just think, although yes, it's a good idea to have procedures, you can't apply them in a one-size-fits-all way to everybody. Anyway, and on that issue of the windows, what I suspect is there's a difference between what's required of a private rental and what's required of a homeowner. I suspect an enlarged window is not required of a homeowner, but she never replied. I would ask her questions, I'd email questions, and never get a reply. And she claims she didn't hear from me. I've actually got it on my phone log, 3 missed calls from Mendip Council. So I'm at the end of my tether. I think it's brought me close to a breakdown, really. The financial stress, the human stress has been enormous. And there's more. I mean, honestly, your hair would stand on end if I told you the more. I think that's enough. But as I say, I think if I'm going to seize on one issue, it's that. It's for, and she never talked to me. I mean, she claims she did, but it's not true. I would have welcomed that. I'd have welcomed input. You know, that would have been valuable to me.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, thank you.
Well, thanks for sharing that. So I think what we can do is definitely get in contact with your Somerset County councillors.
Martin Dimmery and Mick Dunk.
Mick Dunk, yeah.
And he said, please speak up, but I'll be away from next week.
Well,
please don't phone me and
and maybe if you could, I mean, and from the window and the planning, I'll talk to our planning officer here, Jane Llewellyn. We'll try and get some sort of idea as to what the rules are regarding that. I'm sure we've got contacts within Mendip Housing as well that we can.
Yeah. What would be helpful, of course, if we don't already have them, is if we could have your contact details.
Yeah.
And then we can liaise with you.
Yeah. If you give your contact details to Anne, and Anne can feed it out to whoever.
I think also your Frome Town Councillor, one of your ward councillors at Frome Town Council is Mark Doynton, who is away at the moment, but I'm sure he would be very happy to get involved as well.
Get involved.
And he is a great advocate, so he might be able to give Martin a bit of a nudge on your behalf as well.
Yeah, so if you can definitely leave your details with us before you go, and any other relevant information, and then we can see what we can do. It seems as though we just need to square the circle, so to speak. Okay.
And I know something else, Jane, that you were talking to me about was this non-understanding of the various levels and what the town council does compared to what Somerset County Council does, and who are your advocates, who are your representatives. So I don't know whether we could, if we've got time, we could just briefly describe the different levels of local government so that Jane understands who does what.
Sure. Do you want to do that, Peter?
I'll endeavour to do that. Obviously, it's less complicated now in the sense that we only have one principal authority, which is Somerset Council, together with ourselves, of course, at the town level. There are certain statutory services that Somerset Council delivers, and the obvious ones that come to mind are education and adult social care, but there are many others. I think one of the big differences between Somerset Council and this council is that we don't actually have an enforcement role. We don't have a responsibility in terms of enforcing either the law or regulations, and that tends to fall to Somerset Council. But we're here to represent the community, and we're here, if required, to act as an advocate for local residents. So in that, I mean, maybe that's something we need to work a little harder on in terms of our comms. Although we do have something on our website which talks about the difference between the two local authorities, but maybe we need to find some other messages, some other language maybe in terms of how we broadcast that. But I think the upshot of that, of course, is that we can we can work on your behalf to try and get some answers, whether that be with Somerset county councillors or with Somerset council officers directly. So we'll definitely take that up on your behalf and try and get you some answers.
Thank you.
Can I add something? There was a very good leaflet that was created a while ago by open storytellers that had a really clear breakdown of the then 3 different councils. Could we look at doing an updated version? Given my day job, I would quite like to be involved in that and to get that out there, because I think I completely agree. I'm so sorry I didn't get your name, Jane. I completely agree with Jane that I don't think there is a very broad understanding of our role. And I think if we could and we could get it out in every copy of Foom Times, I think that would be really helpful.
Yep, we can look into updating that, definitely.
Yeah, so the other thing is, don't assume everybody is confident going online. You know, that's the other thing. That's like another hurdle.
Yeah, we normally put it in Foom Times as well. Okay, thank you. Thanks very much. And yeah, we'll get back. Right, item number 4 on the agenda. We have moved it around. It's the staff update, which is with Peter.
Yeah, I'll introduce that, but I mean, the main thing I think for us to do tonight is to welcome 2 of our newer members of staff. There was a suggestion at the last meeting that we invite those that have recently joined Frim Town Council to enable councillors to put a face to a name. And so Katie Fraser and Sally Richards, who work in our resilience team, are relatively new and have agreed to come along tonight to say a little bit about what they do and to generally introduce themselves. I've got another piece of information for you, but maybe we could ask Katie and Sally to say a few words at this point.
Got to go to the lectern as well. Doesn't have to be a life history, you know.
Hello, thank you for having me. My name's Katie Fraser. I started with the resilience team 6 weeks ago. So I am here in place of Emma Parker, who has gone on a year's secondment. So I am working in her role, as it were, for 12 months. So I am leading community engagement on the school street scheme. So I'm liaising with schools primarily and engaging with students, getting people excited about walking to school and all of the benefits surrounding that. But I'm also talking to residents and businesses affected by the scheme, and also encouraging as many people as possible to fill in our survey, which we have recently, or just today, we're looking at the results. Everything is positive. We're feeling very positive. Lots of people filling it in, which is the main thing. And yes, is that about the amount that is needed? Yes. Yes, so I have lots of little backgrounds, and one, all positive, hopefully. One is in education. So I am a French teacher, an independent French teacher. So I have been into Froome schools in the past, teaching French and all the opening people's eyes to all the wonderful opportunities that allows us. And I have also run a sustainable food business. So I am I am friendly with lots of local businesses and food networks, and that has hopefully will become also part of my role in the resilience team, whether it be a main role or assisting in other departments. But yes, thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Sally. Welcome.
Green light on, green light on. Am I not talking? There we go. I just need to talk into it a bit more. Yeah, I'm part of the Green and Healthy Froome team. I started work at the beginning of June. So I'm the new retrofit community lead. Since June, I've been doing some training. My background is in architecture. But I've completed some training courses. So the first few months I was here, I was busy sort of setting up the project and carrying out energy awareness training and retrofit assessor training and energy assessment training, and also working with heritage buildings. So the lottery funding essentially sort of pays my wages, and I'm able to offer free retrofit surveys to anybody within Froome and surrounding area. And so I'm now going out and doing home visits. I've done 12 assessments so far at a rate of about 2 a week. People can sign up on the list on our website for an assessment, and I meet with them in their own home and talk about how they live in their home, sort of understand how they use their energy, who's living in the home, what their plans are for the future, what their motivations might be. And then I carry out a full survey of their house. So the whole process takes about sort of 2.5, 3 hours, and I'm measuring the whole building, all the windows, all the doors, working out where energy is essentially lost, and then I use that information to make a sort of mathematical model of their home, and then sort of duplicate that to make new suggestions, new phases of work, sort of suggesting how residents can carry out refurbishment works, which can start off for as little as fixing guttering, fixing any kind of like little plumbing leaks, adjusting their heating, and then all the way up to sort of building interventions, including adding insulation, perhaps replacing windows, and often, as a last example, bringing in renewable energies. And I produce a large report, which I then send to the client. So they have a report which can stay with them and help them plan refurbishment and any new works that they might do to their home. And that's a completely free service.
Great, thank you. From what I understand, the take up on what you've done already has been amazing, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. So we opened the booking list and had to then close it down after a week because I had 40 signatures, 40 people signing up. So that's going to keep me busy probably until looking like Easter at the moment.
Sally, do you just want to mention the Future Shed next week as well?
Yes. So I'm aware that this is a potentially sort of, very beneficial, I hope, to our residents, and is all about making sure that our homeowners and landlords have as much information as possible about their property and about how they can make improvements which might essentially save money, reduce bills, save carbon, improve health, and it's all about making the link between health and our homes. But there are still barriers which prevent people from potentially moving forwards with carrying out work of this particular nature, which may, for example, adding insulation into a listed house or a traditional property isn't quite as straightforward as ringing up a builder often, and it has to be done in a particular way. And at the moment, there isn't the expertise out there to meet need, and meeting people who are having trouble finding suppliers for heat pumps and solar panels. So what I'd like to do is, as part of my job, is to try and start a kind of community hub. And I'm working with Sue Palmer at Adventure. We've got an initial meeting on the 2nd of November at which I've invited local homeowners who've been involved in the project so far, and local architects, local builders, councillors, to come and talk about what that hub might be like. What I'd like it to be is a forum in which people can share information, contacts, that we could use it to potentially inform tradespeople about how they might upskill or sort of pivot towards sort of useful energy saving works, and we could potentially look into sort of providing or helping people access training courses to do that. So what I'd like to do is to get people in a room so that we can sort of start to shape out what that might be like.
Great. Sounds really exciting. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions?
Any more questions? Or is that?
Great. Thank you very much, Sally. Yeah.
Just first of all, thanks very much, Katie and Sally, for coming along tonight. Unfortunately, Mike Wright couldn't be here tonight, but we will find another way soon of introducing Mike to councillors and councillors to Mike. Mike is our new town centre ranger, who's just, yeah. And the other newcomer is Amber Stone, who works within our marketing and communications team. Again, she couldn't be with us this evening, but I'm informed that she will be with us for the next meeting when there is a focus on communications. So you'll have an opportunity to meet with her then, and I'm sure she'll talk a little bit about her background. The last thing to mention is that, as many of you will be aware, we're in the process of recruiting for a new resilience manager. The advert went live this week. Closing date for applications is the 13th of November, and we'll be interviewing on the 20th of November. So we're hoping that we will have a good response to that, but we'll keep you posted.
Great.
You might not be able to answer it, and in which case just say no. Have we had many applications for the engagement officers? Do we know?
You do.
I was involved with the shortlisting today. We had 24 applications, but we've shortlisted 6 interviews next week.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, moving on. We'll go back to agenda item number 4, which is for information, a review of Nurture Open Spaces work programme by Rob Holden.
Yeah, well,
be a good moment.
Apart from you.
I did say I did say to Sally and Katie that if they wanted to go now, they're welcome.
Fully understood.
Yeah.
Equally, you're very welcome to stay.
You can listen to Rob. We all love listening to Rob. Got loads of pictures, I'm sure.
You've seen my presentations before, haven't you, Steve? Okay, so it's a review of nurture open spaces, taking the work programme, taking the objectives from the work programme and basically giving an update on each of those points. So it's mostly, there's a lot of photos. So the first point, convene people who use our open spaces to ensure existing groups are represented, but also to reach out to others whom we have not yet engaged. I think the main thing under this objective is redoing or reviewing and updating our management plans. And so the update here is that we started doing an update for the Showfield management plan, but changes within the internal changes within the teams here meant we didn't have capacity to see that through. So that has been postponed slightly, and so we're going to re-engage with that the other side of Christmas. It's a very busy time at the moment, so we thought we would do that in half term. In February, so we've already started on it. We've got a sort of basis on which to go out and consult, and we'll carry on that process in February. And the one after that, these two are probably our two most complex sites. Got the most users, the most variety of stakeholders, etc. Is Victoria Park and Mary Bailey. So we're going to do that in May afterwards. So that's going to be quite a busy period when we start to engage with that. But the principles with which we'll do it is we'll very much involve the local community, get their thoughts on how it's being managed now, digest that, come up with a draft proposal, and then go back out to the community. So very much community co-design. So shall we take questions at the end? Shall I just carry on? I'll just carry on. We'll take questions at the end. Okay, maybe we can review this one at the end, because otherwise we'll just not get any further. But the next objective in the plan is identify open spaces that we want to take on during the creation of the new unitary. So we can maybe discuss it afterwards, but what we've done so far is I've updated an initial list that I think was discussed in council quite a long time ago. We've looked at it in terms of community benefit if we took it on. So there's lots of different sites we could take on, but what is the community benefit? What can we bring if we take it on, as opposed to Somerset County? We've had a look through all the sites that were proposed initially. We've added a few, come up with a list. So that's been updated. Paul's got that, and Paul's had some discussions with Somerset County on that. This is so that we can initiate conversations. This isn't the definitive list. This isn't a final answer. This is simply so that we are prepared and have thought through what's in our desired bag when we have those conversations. It's not a definitive list. But maybe we can talk about that at the end. Have you got a quick, sorry, no. So far that isn't a report to council. It's a working document so that we can have informed conversations. Maybe review that with Paul as to so far the process has been. It isn't a report that we've taken to council. It's part of the process of having conversations with Somerset County. That is the map of the report. But we'll come back to that if that's okay. So the next point is consider how Frome Town Council would service and maintain a growing number of open spaces, which links back to the previous point. And one update here is we've done quite a lot of work on setting up the new town centre ranger. So Mike, who we mentioned earlier, who's there on the left, was recruited and started with us just a few weeks ago. And he knows the town centre like the back of his hand. He was working with ID Verdi as their barrowman, and so really has a great understanding of Frome Town Centre, very committed to improving that space for everybody. Very practical person. We have created a base. He's based obviously with the Rangers in Victoria Park, but we also have a base for him down in the Cheese and Grain, who've been great supporting us on this journey. So we have a container next to Cheese and Grain. Sorry,
Is that his base?
that is going to
Shipping
be
container.
Yeah. That's going to be his practical store. It's not his base. His base is Victoria Park. His base is Victoria. But if you're doing work in the town centre and you need some more paintbrushes or paint, you don't want to go all the way to Victoria Park. You want to go there. It's very exciting. I don't understand the lack of enthusiasm here. You wait until it got all the racking in.
Did you put some pictures up in there or something like that? You know?
We'll give you an update on that picture. I can't understand that. Okay, I'm just going to mention this. This is even more exciting. This is going to revolutionise our town centre. I kid you not. No, in all seriousness, we have a real problem, and I want to come on to this later on. We have a real problem with weeds in the town centre. We took a decision a number of years ago not to use glyphosate. ID Verdi, who do the street cleaning, therefore obviously stopped using glyphosate, but it has meant that the weeds just grow and grow. And initially they look a bit unsightly, and after several years, the roots actually start to dig into the permanent infrastructure. And we don't really have an answer to that. We have bought one of these, and we used it today on Weymouth Road, and what would have taken us half a day, we did in half an hour. And it is going to make a big impression on how the town centre looks. So it's just an example of how having this focus is going to make a difference. One question, maybe we can come back to this at the end, is what does the council think of treating weeds with glyphosate-free Roundup? So Roundup was the product that had glyphosate in. You can see you're poised there, Fiona, which is good. So we're not using glyphosate, but there is a product. If we use this machine to get rid of the weeds, of course it gets rid of everything above ground. What it doesn't do is get rid of the roots. If we use this and then sprayed it with something that translocated down to the roots, you would sort the problem. Obviously, eventually it comes back, but it won't come back in a month. So the question is, what do we think about glyphosate-free Roundup?
No.
Why not? Because I wrote that very question down before you raised it. So is there such thing as an eco-friendly weed killer?
There's the thing that the council took a decision on was not to use glyphosate.
Yeah, but is there something that obviously hasn't got glyphosate in, but could be,
100%. So the same company make a product which does a very similar job, but doesn't have that active ingredient.
But it's also the same company as that makes glyphosate.
It is.
I think there's I'm not actually probably as staunchly against it as perhaps you might think, but I think there is something about having made a stand, now going back on ourselves, and the fact that glyphosate, and I know we're not talking about using glyphosate, but the fact that it's banned means that we're then able to say on the allotments it's banned, on, it has a bit of a knock-on effect. I'm intrigued to see how this machine works, and maybe if you say in a few months, look, we're still...
This will get rid of the above ground weeds. What it won't do is get rid of the roots. So you'll get rid of the above ground and then it will grow back. So all the work you're doing, you then have to repeat and repeat, ongoing. As I understand it, the chemical was banned because of the active ingredient, not because of the company. So if there was a weed suppressant that didn't have that active ingredient, could we use it? The impact on the town centre would mean that when you clear the weeds, they don't come back as opposed to coming back. They will eventually come back because new seeds will get in, but the roots won't regenerate.
Yeah,
I think it's a bigger discussion.
Yeah,
I think
flag that as a discussion.
It seems to be something we need a bit more what pros and cons paper that says what what's
Brilliant.
driving this.
What is the active ingredient in the, if it's not glyphosate,
Yep.
what is the active ingredient?
Yes, it's the same company. So I suppose there's a debate there to be had about what do we feel about not using that active ingredient, but it being the same company. So pros and cons. Have an informed debate.
Fiona, can you leave the microphone, please?
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
And I think we need to do a bit more fact finding about what are the active ingredients in the replacement and how toxic might that prove to be to the world, not only human beings, but
Sure.
I mean, it's got to be toxic, otherwise it's not going to kill the weeds.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Peter wants to just...
My worry.
So really just kind of building on the discussion there, and if it's acceptable to Rob, maybe what we could do is we could bring a report back to this committee at the next
Brilliant.
meeting.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
Thanks.
Sorry, I'd suggest that probably needs to go to full council, given the interest in the topic, rather than just oversight.
We can do that.
Also, this committee only meets every 3 months or so, doesn't it? Yeah.
Brilliant.
So, yeah, if we could bring that to council, Peter,
Take that as an
that'd
action.
be great.
Thank
Yeah.
you. So the next one, ensure our parks and open spaces are places that people value, highly to enjoy, are accessible and inclusive, and support a wide range of outdoor activities and biodiversity. So that is, if you like, the meat and drink of what the role is, or what the team do. So there's quite a lot to update you on under that. So the first thing to say is the show field, which is a very big project for us, £176,000, which is not preset money, that is Section 106 money. And the project started, the work started in early September, and they are now finished. And I think we're delighted with it. The grass has got to grow. So obviously it doesn't look like it will when the grass has grown. They've only just moved out, so it all looks a bit raw, but I think it's absolutely fantastic. We're very, very excited about it. I can talk you all through it, but maybe that's for another time. When you're doing an update on a big subject, I don't know how much time to give to each thing. I could talk for ages about this, but we'll lose the sweepstakes.
Oh, no.
No. So, I mean, I'm just going to point out. So this is a bench, but it's an 8-meter bench that over 20 people can sit at, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places where wheelchairs have access. What else? This is a trampoline that is flush with the ground that wheelchairs can get access to. This is a set of 3 bays for swings, and this bay here will have a wheelchair friendly or an access for all friendly swing on it. This is a pole jungle that goes very low to the ground that everyone can get access to. This, I can't really see it so well actually, but this is a giant sand play area with a structure, and it also has a boardwalk which is wheelchair friendly. And they're not all. I haven't managed to get all the pictures on. There's an access for all friendly swing. There's an access for all friendly slide. This is at the top. There's a space that is more for dwelling, so more hopefully of interest to teenagers. So we have a shelter which we've never had before, which has got several different benches on. We've got a stage area with boulders around which you can sit on and talk to, or you can actually use it as a stage. And they're not there at the moment, but we've just taken them down deliberately. Are 3 hammocks, one of which is a giant hammock that you can get 7 people on. And I just have the sense this place is going to be used. So we've all been very, very excited. Oh, and I can't pass by without mentioning the trees. These are not the small whips we normally plant. These are giant trees that we had to get a telehandler to lift. They're so heavy, and it's given instant character to the site. So there's lots. These are 30-year-old apple trees. Anyway, it's fantastic.
Thanks.
So
From
very
what I
pleased with that.
From what I understand, Rob, it's been very well received in the public
Yeah.
forums as well, I think, isn't it? Yeah. So
Yeah, it has. Yeah. So we're going to leave the. It's finished. We do the ROSPA inspection for safety on Saturday. We're going to leave the Harris fencing up until there's a soft launch on the 30th of November. Philip's coming. We're going to cut a ribbon, say a few words, but we want the grass to grow. That's the one thing, to be honest, that we're a little bit worried about, is the grass not growing and it churning up to mud. But if it stays warm and wet, hopefully that will help the grass take. So Harris fencing up for another month.
So the soft launch is on the
30th of November.
30th of November.
We've got Critchell School and Selwood Academy, the people who made it for us, Green Play. Some of the stakeholders are coming.
What time's that,
Been
Rob?
invited. Sorry?
What time is it?
11 a.m.
11 a.m. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, they're not the whole school, but a class. Yes. So I think it's about 30. I think it's about 30 children from Selwood and about 30 children from Critchell.
I think it may be a smaller number from Critchell, but essentially they're the ones who were sort of involved in the consultation earlier on and that sort of thing, so they can see their plans come to life.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, at the soft launch, I think we're. Oh yeah. Sorry. Do you want to say it again?
Yeah, I just wondered if we'd offered up an opportunity for the kids to use the stage. I don't really mean make a production or something.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, why I love Froome or what I
brilliant.
see here.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe the teachers have some kids that were happy to say things or something.
Yeah. We can run that by the school. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, so that's Show Fields. At Welsh Mill, we are taking play at a more incidental, spontaneous, low-key, natural level. We've done, step one is we've done a fairy door trail, which isn't there if you don't want it. You walk by, you wouldn't know it was there. But if you do want it, if you've got younger children, and Helen has made these, and they're just absolutely phenomenal.
Just say, sorry, my children did it on Monday and they're still talking about it. Absolutely loved it.
Oh, that's lovely to hear. Thank you, Katie.
Great.
So it adds a level of interest to a woods that otherwise you might just walk past. And the next step is Helen and Nikki have already taken a group out to a play area in Bath to get inspiration for doing low-level, simple, naturalistic interventions where you just have things in the ground like stumps that you walk across so that you're off the ground, wobble beams, and maybe some rope to pull yourself across, etc., etc. And they're going to co-design that with St John's School for the Glade area in Welsh Mill Woods. So that's very exciting. We're enjoying that very much. Victoria Park. Oh yes. So an update on the cafe structure there. So I'm going to take you behind the scenes of the planning group. And when we have a really complex structure, we invoke this process for visualizing in 3 dimensions. And so this is our high tech system for envisaging what the structure could look like. This was at the start.
It's been spared at Town Council.
This was at the start of the journey. This was halfway through the journey and a bit wet today, but it's now finished and it's such a lovely space. And there's a lot of there's covered space obviously, and there's quite a lot of other places for the tables and chairs. So the cafe can now seat quite a few people. So I think that's brought that space to life. Obviously, how much life there is very weather dependent. So I think the cafe are looking at what their opening hours are in winter, but it's a great resource to have. I think they're going to look at what activities they can host in there. And indeed, if anyone else has any ideas, it is a resource for the community that can be used. We've also put some benches in a number of different places across the estate. Again, access for all. That's a how do I? Oh, there we go. So wheelchair friendly. And in next to the cafe, we've put in these chessboards, and the cafe hold the pieces, and so anyone can turn up and play chess whenever they want. Intergenerational game, very simple, free, and has been used quite a lot. So that's a nice little update. This is not my project at all. This is Catherine and Jane. They've worked tirelessly to get the toilets refurbished, and that's moving forwards very, very well. It was looking like this, the back there with graffiti, dark, not very welcoming, and the opening has been moved to the Mary Bailey side, much more open, much more inviting, and that's before we get into all the works inside to make it much more vandal-proof and user-friendly. So that's very exciting, very big project. So that's moving forwards. A lot of discussion around this. This is a new camera, CCTV camera in Victoria Park. We have had some incidents in the evening in Victoria Park, and the police wanted a camera to be installed in Victoria Park. And with the help of the Bowls Club, who funded the lamppost, we installed the lamppost. The police built a camera for us at a much reduced cost. And there was a bit of a hiatus as we were thinking the police were going to install it, but for various reasons to do with their own internal capacity, they couldn't. So we've just installed it, just gone live. And the difference with this camera to previous CCTV is that it's nothing to do with, we don't manage this at all. It's entirely managed by the police, but it's monitored live. So it feeds into where all the other cameras go. There's a bank of them. And so if there's something happening in Victoria Park, that can be reported to the police. And then the police can actually zoom in using that camera to find out what's going on, work out if they need to attend. So that's just gone live. So that's brilliant. Egford Park. We have been making changes to Egford Park little by little, continuously since we took it on. The latest is we've done a connecting path from the play area through to the tiny forest, which we did during that really, I say we, the Rangers, worked their socks off during that really hot spell. It was really, really hard work, and got a lovely result with orchard trees running by the side of it, leading to the tiny forest there. So that's a nice addition to Egford. Showfield, we at a previous Oversight Committee have reviewed the possibility of Frome Town Council working with Agricultural Society and the Cricket Club to look at our management in that area. The update really is that conversations are ongoing. It's taking longer than we had initially thought, and until we have anything concrete, that's really all I can say on that one. Broadway Community Garden. We were there today. That's how it used to look. And now there's this amazing path that comes winding through, and it comes. Yeah. We've installed a notice board, and there's some bicycle racks here, and this lovely flowing path. And we were there today. And this is the team. Where they just were is here. That's them clearing the ground, putting the shuttering in. Here's the stone arriving, and Jay on the digger, and then here's Tony on the tracked wheelbarrow. Mike, who you saw earlier, raking it, and they've had to wheelbarrow and some tracked, but wheelbarrow about 60 tons of stone. So they've done an amazing job, and I think it's going to transform how accessible that space is for everybody, because I think it's going to make it a more inviting space, but also for people who are less mobile, instantly going to be a much more accessible space. So that's we're just coming to the end of that first phase, and then there'll be a second phase where we extend the path further.
That was the first phase of your presentation for a minute.
That was today. Right. So that was the sort of meaty objective that we've just covered. The next one is collaboration with partner agencies on land works and maintenance across open spaces in the town. So one thing that we're doing now is through medical practice approach, just to say, could we manage their green space, which is mostly at the back, which is some of it you can see there on the right. And so that's what we're doing. We go in there on a fortnightly basis during the growing season, and we do some tidying up works for their hedge in the winter. And it's working very well. And we're in the show field anyway. And I think they're a partner. We've already mentioned some of the projects. We're a partner with them in other ways. So it's just a very nice relationship. Andy?
Just to confirm, is that a commercial relationship?
Yes, that's a commercial. Sorry, I should have said. Yes, that's a commercial relationship. We worked out how much time it would take, what would be a suitable commercial rate, therefore how much they would pay us, and that's what they are paying us. And so that works really, really well. It works well for them. It works well for us. So that's good. The community woodlands, again, at a previous oversight meeting, we've talked about this, and in fact, a full council meeting. And it is on the face of it a very exciting project, and but we've reached a key moment in our discussions with the landowners about exactly what the legal relationship would be between Frome Town Council and themselves, and it's maybe less of a certainty, I would say, that it's going to go ahead, but very good dialogue with them. We're just working out what that relationship would look like if it were to go ahead. So I guess I'll give you more of an update when we know more. And that's it. It wasn't too long. So the two discussion topics that I picked up, obviously we talk about whatever people want to talk about, but the two discussion topics we've covered glyphosate, and then the big one is what's coming down the line in terms of land that we could manage that Somerset currently manages. But over to you guys.
Neither of those topics.
Right.
Yeah.
You and I had a very enjoyable walk around.
Yeah, we did.
And some of those easy routes were not easy, were they?
No.
How do we encourage Somerset Highways, whose responsibility is to keep footpaths open?
Yeah.
How do we encourage them to keep those footpaths open? Because if they're not kept open, if they're not walked, if it's easier to go around rather than through, they will just get worse and worse, and they will become compost heaps for the gardens that back onto them.
I would.
There's one section that goes from sort of Selwood School area, Berkeley Road, through to St John's Road.
Yes.
That's where it was. And there's one path where the instructions say, go straight on, don't turn left. But if you do go straight on, it was really difficult to get through.
It's a footpath that is so overgrown. I mean, we forged a way through, but it wasn't. It was. Most people would not be able to get through there. The rights of way team in Somerset County would be the people who have responsibility for managing that. So I would say, as with all these things, the more contact that they have from people saying this is an issue, can you look after it, and we can absolutely lend our weight to that. So I would say write to Claire Haskins from Somerset County to advise her that there's a problem. Their team have been very responsive in some situations in the past. And if local residents are doing, I mean, we can write directly, but if we're supporting local residents who are mentioning it, then it has a bit more weight, I would say.
And I just wonder whether I've lost track of whether Walkers Are Welcome, has that happened already in the year, or whether joining up Walkers Are Welcome, the Ramblers Association, and us with our Discover Frome and all of those lovely walks around the town.
Yeah.
And if we could say, but this one would be even
Yeah.
more lovely
Might be more.
if this particular
or-
route was opened
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
There is actually an email that I've been meaning to send for about 2 weeks that I just haven't got around to doing. There's someone who I know, I used to exercise with them on Hampstead Heath when I lived in London, who's just moved to Frome, who works for an app called Go Jauntly. I don't know if you've heard of it, but I then talked to her again when I was in Rye and sort of spoke about it. And I thought there was actually a lot of, I think it could be worth a conversation because I thought there was lots of ways in which it could be useful. It's basically a sort of a walking out. They work a lot with sort of councils to sort of routes that can also be sort of have like comments and annotations. I thought in terms of, there could be something there in terms of safer school streets. There could be something there in terms of community food growing projects. There could be something there in terms of open spaces. There could be something there in terms of Victoria Park. Lisa had been having conversations around like mental health and walking. I have information. I've been meaning to sort of write an email and say, what do we think? But I think it could be.
Yeah, I can see that linking up with it. And also there was the Slow Ways project that we got involved with a couple of years ago that links up towns with each other. But these are sort of intra-town routes that really need maintaining.
And the main sort of thing about Go Jauntly is it's about encouraging people to walk who wouldn't normally. So it's not for sort of ramblers. It's sort of for even something like the fairy walk. You could do something around that. You could kind of like, and I did think, and I've been meaning to send this email for about 2 weeks.
Katie wants to jump.
Sorry, just to add, I don't know if you're all aware yet, but there's the Walkers Welcome have just brought out their walking wheel. Have you seen it? It's the most amazing map that it's essentially a wheel with the spokes that come off. And yes, there are obviously very accessible routes, but there are also routes that if people want to go off for a whole day or more, there are. So it sounds like something that could tie in really nicely and take that even further. But obviously it's the walking festival in a couple of weeks. So that's just coming up. So you probably missed the boat this time, but it's a good time to start instigating these conversations for further opportunities.
Fiona, do you think Go Jauntly as a sort of, I suppose, model or something could also lend itself towards benches and rest areas? Because what's happened for me is there's an open space, which is why I was interested in the open spaces report discussion earlier. It's an open space near me that's very important to particularly older people, or a lot of people who live near where I live. And we've got a bench coming, haven't we, Rob? Thank you. We've got a bench coming.
Absolutely.
I can't tell you how pleased people are about it. They're so pleased. A lot of childcare is done by grandparents these days, as we know. So, for them to be able to sit while the kids play. But also, I've met a whole load of people I haven't met before, just by going and chatting about this. And a couple of couples in particular, both actually, if half the partners walk with a frame. And they say, we work out where to walk based on where we can sit, because we can only go but they will go for a long time because they've got all day to do it. They need to sit. So I think one of the things about walking is the sitting. Where can you see a view, but where can you sit while the kids can, I don't know, pick blackberries or just play or whatever. They're really, really just so excited to be having a bench.
Good point. Thanks, Tracy. And when you send an email, can you copy in, I think it would be Dawn and Adam, Somerset councillors, on that, on the because they should have the link with highways as well.
Yeah. So and I think it is Somerset Highways, isn't it? They have responsibility for rights of way.
Claire Haskins from the Rights of Way team would be the contact. But absolutely, Steve says.
Can you help me draft that?
Yeah,
email,
of course, no problem. And just to say, Tracy, that's there we go. That's the space identified up there. That's where your bench is going.
Peter, did you want to?
It was just a suggestion, really, that we have been in correspondence with David Carter, who is effectively the head of highways at Somerset Council, and it would be worth copying him in on any correspondence.
On the Go Jauntly thing, I will actually send that email. I'll forward it to you, Robin, Katie, and a couple of the other councillors. I think it might interest, and just see whether there is whether we think that. I just thought it might be worth us having a meeting to kind of have a bit of a demo and see what the options are and whether it could be used.
And I suppose allied to all of that is to highlight all of the fantastic walks that are on the Discover Frome website. other people who've said, I'm coming to Frome, I'd like a walk that's about an hour and a half long, and I've pointed them to the shops and pubs, or there are so many really great
There are some
walks
great
around
walks.
Frome.
And just to repeat what Katie was saying, the new Walker's Wheel really adds to that as well.
Great, thank you. Your discussion topics.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to discuss this.
Yeah, well, I think both of them, in all fairness, are really interesting ones.
Yeah.
I think
It was just, it wasn't really to get into, I
really
just
needs to
wondered
get
whether there were
involved.
any questions about the process or the stage we've reached rather than the detail. But we can take
Yes.
those another time.
Well, I think in all fairness, the open spaces one, again, probably should go to a full council. I think there's so much going to be involved in that in terms of negotiation.
Of course it will. This was just an opportunity to flag any
Peter's going to.
questions.
Just to say that we're anticipating in November that there will be a workshop around asset and service devolution with Somerset Council. And I think that would be a really good opportunity to have a dialogue with Somerset Council about these ideas. Agree, that it would be a good idea for there to be a conversation council-wide, because it is that is a kind of corporate issue, isn't it? I'm sure a bigger group would want to discuss.
Andy?
I think we also need to look at building some sort of contingency into budgets, because we're going to need to respond fairly quickly if there is something we want, and we're already over-consuming our ranger capacity as it is, I think.
I was going to say, when you mentioned a workshop, is that a sort of a workshop for councillors, and was it a...
It will probably be a workshop that involves a small group of staff and councillors on both sides.
Okay.
Where we will be able to learn from them, in terms of their aspirations, but also they can learn from us in terms of ours. There won't be any decisions taken at that meeting. It'll just be an opportunity for us to have a dialogue.
I am getting increasingly concerned that this is going to come up really, really quickly and suddenly, and I don't feel in any way prepared. I don't know what else is going on, and even the fact that I haven't seen all these sites, if we're suddenly going to have to, I think we need to give ourselves time to actually, we need to get ahead of this. I feel that I'm quite worried that we're suddenly going to be told that you need a decision now, and I don't even know.
I mean, I think that was really the purpose of putting this as just a discussion topic. Is just chance to air some thoughts around that.
We had a sort of a unitary workshop of a month or so ago. I mean, could we have another one in the evening that all councillors can attend that maybe starts to look at this in a bit more detail?
Let's get the sites sent out to everyone. Sorry, Peter.
Yeah.
Just going to say that Paul is leading on this, certainly for the staff body. And so this is something I'll pick up with Paul on his return from leave next week, and I'm sure he would want to have some further conversations with councillors about this.
If we could get the list and that map, because I will then make sure that I go around and see them all at some point. Like, if we could get that sent out, I will do it.
As Peter says, that was a report I did for Paul. So Paul has that. So as Peter says, that would be the next step. Would be we discussion
back
with
next
Paul.
week, so we can.
Yep. And also, just to pick up on your point, Andy, which is a very important point, is how do we gear up for something when we don't quite know what's happening? But we have looked at scenarios where we do have to take on a lot more, and therefore what the cost would be. Not that is formalised, but in terms of the wheels starting to turn, just to reassure you that it has been talked about. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Rob.
Can I also just say, I should have said that the cafe structure, which I think is brilliant, isn't my project, it's Sarah's project. And she's the one that's been driving that. So
great.
Well done.
Thank you, Rob. Thanks for that. I think the Ranger team are a real asset to the town. So congratulations to you and the rest of your team. Thank you very much. Thanks. Right. Moving on to agenda item 5, which is from Town Council's financial position at the end of September. Over to Sarah.
Yep. Hello. No slides. The papers were circulated, so the quick messages were halfway through the year. We're in a pretty good place. We're starting to plan the budget for next year, and as you know, we'll be having meetings with councillors at the end of November and mid-December to find out what your thoughts are. And that's it. Were there any questions on the papers circulated?
No, good.
The only comment is I know that we have more money in bank interest than we had planned for. One of the comments when we initially decided that we would put more money into the, and I forget the acronym, but this overnight bank rate deposit account designed for local government.
The Public Sector Deposit Fund.
That's the one, the Public Sector Deposit Fund. And we have little control over where that is put. So one of the questions, I think it was from Andy Rintmore, was, well, should we consider offsetting some of that additional interest towards some of our more ESG, so environmental, social and governance funds, in order to offset the fact that some of it might be going into banks and financial institutions that we wouldn't normally choose to support. So one question I have is, how often do we look at the ESG policies of the public sector, whatever you just said, fund?
Well, I would ask our expert councillor to help me on that one. So Anne, let's book a date.
Shall we have a look at the way the ESG policies are governed by that financial institution? And also, I think we ought to look at the debt management of some of those financial institutions. My eyes have been opened to the way debt can be used almost as a weapon against some global south countries, keeping them in poverty. And I don't think it's very ethical. So
Great,
I'd like to start looking at that.
Can we? Can you two?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
On that,
Yeah.
if you don't mind. Yeah.
We'll do that.
Thanks very much. Yeah. One question for me, show my ignorance, but also show I've read it. What does 2P stand for?
A 2B. Oh, God, transfer under protected employment. Complete guess, actually. Okay, that would make sense. It's
Right.
what.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah. Brilliant.
yeah, it is. It's transfer under. I know it's protected employment, but
Right.
I think it's a transfer understanding or something like that. But yeah.
Any other questions?
I imagine that's what we will talk about in private session at the end of November. But if you wanted to raise any issues for me to research now, please do. Councillors' thoughts on, yes, I think that's all related to potential asset purchases and. So that's not for discussion now. We could have your thoughts, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we'll be doing the workshop in November, so we'll crack on with that then. Andy, did you want to say?
I was just going to say, I think the big sort of balancing act there seems to be between, are we going to be able to go and ask for the bits we want, or are we going to be dumped with things on the basis of have it or it goes away anyway? And I suspect it's going to be more of the latter, so we just need to be prepared for that.
Absolutely. I think you totally agree. Peter.
Just got a definition for you on 2P. So if it's helpful, transfer of undertakings, brackets, protection of employment, close brackets, regulations.
There you go. Thank you.
We can talk about it more obviously in November, but just to say that I do think that more HR resource would be of value to the council.
Agreed. And I think that's top of Paul's list for sure. And Laura would probably be extremely grateful, as would I.
Thank you. Anything else for Sarah? Oh, great. Thank you, Sarah.
I just say
there's
it's the
something
first time ever I didn't get a chance to read everything before the meeting, so I'm not going to vote, but I'm hoping that that means it's still quorate.
Let's vote on this.
Can I abstain? It still be quorate? Because Tracy's now here. But I
Yes. So you can, you could abstain and we'd still be quorate.
Right. So if someone could propose that for me then. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Andy. And those that's majority.
That's, majority.
Right. Those recommendations.
And the last item, I think, is mine too, staff handbook.
Staff handbook, yeah. Been waiting for this.
So again, Laura's done all the work on this. Unfortunately, she's unwell tonight with a migraine, but her paper went out and it's approval of the amendments so far, primarily. Yeah. The whole document was not, no, but we can send you, it's over 100 pages at the moment. We can send you a link and it's actually on our website under staff handbook. The key change really is to take away the requests for flexible working going directly to Paul so that he doesn't have to consider those. They could come to me and Laura. We could review them with the line manager and then sign them off if we think they're okay.
Yeah, the changes seem perfectly fine with me.
They seem very sensible.
Yeah.
To move, if you like, management of Paul, move that role more to the leader,
Yeah.
wasn't it? So his HR was more the leader of the council.
Your delegation.
His HR would be more, yes.
Yeah.
Great. So if someone could propose that for me. Thank you. And again, she's very quick tonight, Anne. Okay.
So that's a majority.
The majority.
Okay, thank you.
Great. I think that's it for the agenda. The next meeting is on the 30th of Jan, 31st of Jan. Someone help. When's the next meeting, Sarah? 31st of January.
That's correct.
31st of January. So next meeting, the Oversight Committee, when normal service will be resumed with Councillor Dorrington, 31st of January. Thank you very much and good night.